everyone, and welcome to another spoiler podcast. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And today we're talking about Batman Assault on Arkham. This is the latest of the DC Direct animated movies, and as Eric and I have been doing for several years now, we are reviewing the latest of these. And this one, we're getting away from the stuff based on 52, and we're finally doing an original, totally standalone thing. Well, not totally standalone, but it's based on the Arkham video games, but not a direct adaptation of anything. And Eric, let's just jump straight into it. I gotta say that this is the first of these that I've legitimately enjoyed in quite a while.
Same thing. I mean, this is so much like my bag. Like, I love these kinds of stories of supervillains and the team, and I like Suicide Squad and Thunderbolts and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it was already kind of working for me just on the premise. And outside of some stuff in the beginning and at the end, it holds together better than since Dark Knight Returns. Like, is that the last one we had that was good?
I think that's the last one I really enjoyed. I mean, I've been a little bit indifferent towards some of them and just straight up didn't like a lot of them.
Well, Flashpoint was all right.
Flashpoint was okay, yeah. But this one, yeah, I'm with you. I thought that it was pretty cohesive all the way through. I mean, there's stuff I don't love. It's not as much my bag as it is yours, but the thing I really appreciated was I felt like the people who were making this really had a good time making it. Like it felt like they wanted to be there. Like this is it's a pretty solid script. There's a lot of fun dialogue and banter. I enjoyed a lot of the relationship stuff between some of the Suicide Squad and a lot of, like I said, banter stuff. I really enjoyed wordplay and stuff like that. I don't know, like there was a manic energy to it that that really grabbed me. Like right out the gate when they went down the list of the Suicide Squad, and it was almost like an intro for an 80s TV show, like an 80s action thing, almost like this is like the supervillain A-Team.
Yeah.
and here's who everybody is. I was starting to kind of get into it. I was like, wow, this is kind of the most fun and kind of fresh that these have been in a while. I was impressed with that.
Yeah, I was too. This was totally well, and this is the first time I think I've seen something in one of these for a while. I was like, oh, that's a little Easter egg. There's a point when Harley's going through the chest of like all the Joker's old stuff, and she throws out one of the masks from the beginning of The Dark Knight.
Yep, I saw that. That was cool.
And there's something else that gets thrown out, but I don't remember. But like, when was the last time they did something like that?
Yeah, there was a lot of kind of neat little inspired choices. That were really cool. Also, these movies have often had kind of pacing issues and have either felt too long or too short. This one's like all these have been about an hour and 15 minutes. It felt feature length to me.
Oh yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I got to the end and I felt like it was exactly the length it ought to be. I felt like everybody had plenty of screen time and stuff to do. And I got to the end and I went, I am surprised how dense this feels for 80 or 90 minutes. Good stuff.
Yeah, no, this felt like a whole complete story, kind of.
And I will say this is the first one since Dark Knight. Well, Flashpoint I would watch again. This one though, I'd watch again maybe tomorrow. I'd happily put this in and watch it again.
This is probably the first one since Flashpoint I'm gonna buy. And definitely.
Yeah, I actually was disappointed when I got to the end that I didn't just straight buy this. I was at the store the other day and I nearly picked it up, but I grabbed the Amazing Spider-Man 2 instead and said, well, I'll just rent this one because I don't know if it'll be good or not. I kind of wish I just straight up bought it now. I really liked it.
Yeah, and most of the DC animated films, not just do I watch them for this, but like usually I watch them again with my friends, and I haven't done that with any of them since Flashpoint. This will be the first one I watch like with my friends. at another point in time. So
You were talking about Easter eggs. Let's go ahead and kind of get into the movie a little bit and start with what it looks like with the presentation, because of course this is based on the Arkham games, and so they're going with all those designs of characters and those characterizations. One of the things that I enjoyed the most is also, I think, one of my least favorite things all at the same time, which is like you were talking about Easter eggs, all of the kind of nods to things from the games. And I don't know how much of them you've played. I am a huge Arkham fan.
I've played like
It's
half of the first game, and I've read the first volume of Arkham Unleashed.
okay. It is one of my favorite Batman things now, and I really enjoyed seeing the same layouts of
I noticed that. I
inside the
noticed that
asylum.
Arkham was the game Arkham.
The one of the big things I thought was really cool was the Iceberg Lounge is exactly the same layout as it is in Arkham City. And there's cool little things like when Floyd Lawton and Captain Boomerang take out the guys at the posts out in the yard. There's a place in Arkham Asylum where you have to do the very same thing as Batman, and I thought it was really kind of cool that we got to see that in the post. I think they're exactly the same, and we got to see these guys do a thing that you have to do in a mission in that game. I thought that was really cool. There's a lot of things like that. What I wasn't sure about with it, or what I guess kind of got a little bit irritating after a while, was just so many cameos. Like there's a whole bunch of just, we got to throw this character in for 5 seconds and this character in for 5 seconds so you get to see them, because we want to really milk the Arkham thing for all it's worth. So you get Bane for a couple of minutes,
Well,
and you
it's like
get
they were
Bates for six
almost.
seconds, and
Well, yeah,
we got to cycle through them all.
you get Scarecrow for like 3 seconds.
Yeah,
But it's almost like they were worried that people would watch this and be like, oh well, this could have been anything. Like, how do I
yeah,
know this is set in Arkham? And they're like,
exactly.
so here's Arkham Poison Ivy, here's Arkham Bane.
And
Here,
that's my trouble with it, is that I do feel like it other than a couple of neat things like that, yeah, it could have been anything, right?
I think
Again,
they
I
were worried
enjoyed
about
the
that.
movie, but I'm not sure what about it necessitated it being this style. And I'm going to say style over universe, because I don't feel like this is really necessarily in that universe. It could be. I mean, that's one of the things I like about it, is that there's no reason that this couldn't have happened. I feel like it must be set before Arkham Asylum, mostly because Two Face is there,
Yeah.
and Two Face is not there at the end of Arkham Asylum. He's robbing a bank, and of course what happens in that leads to Arkham City. So this must be before all that happens if it's set in that universe. But all I'm saying is it's nice that it fits fine, but also it didn't have to be Arkham. Like, I didn't feel like anything about the way the Joker or Harley Quinn, especially, are characterized in those games, really informed their characters all that much in this.
I
Uh,
actually, it felt like this was informed a lot by the New 52 Suicide Squad. A lot of the stuff between Deadshot and Harley is straight out of those comics.
oh, I didn't know that. Well, and I suppose it must have been. And of course, we haven't had all these characters in those games.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
We've had Deadshot. He was in Arkham City. And I'm pretty sure he's the same design as that version. Although I don't know that we see him with his hood off. So in those games, and without his eyepiece. So they may have had to design that. But I will say that I thought that costume wise, and design wise, everybody that's in this that's new look like the version I would imagine them to be in the games. I mean, I thought they were really consistent with what everybody looks like, and the flavor of all of that. So I mean, like I said, it was fun to get to see that flavor, but I guess I don't know. I guess ultimately what I'm saying is, could we get some more movies set in the Arkham universe, maybe? Because I liked this one, but I'd like to play more in that universe if we're gonna do that. Because I do feel like I kind of got teased a bit, where this could have been kind of anything.
Yeah, I felt kind of
Not a major criticism, not a major criticism, but I don't know. Give me one or two more of these.
well, it feels like it could be not set in the Arkham, but there's no reason it couldn't be at the same time.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah, that's
I
That's
I
where I'm
wonder if
coming.
maybe they'll open it up a little bit more after, was it Arkham Knight? After Arkham Knight comes out and that whole thing's done.
Well, I hope so, because when I first heard this project was happening, the first thing I thought was, before we even knew it was Suicide Squad, the first thing I thought was, well, can we maybe not just adapt one of the games to a movie, because that would be lame,
Right.
or potentially lame. Let's not do that. Let's just tell a story in that universe. Then I found it was Suicide Squad, and I went, oh, so we gotta, because these movies have been doing a lot with these characters lately, especially Deadshot and Deathstroke. Like they love doing stuff with, and I was surprised Deathstroke wasn't in this movie. That was the thing I kind of appreciated, actually, because we've had him in so much stuff lately.
Yep.
And I was just sort of like, I don't know, does it have to be Suicide Squad? It's almost like we're using this as an excuse to do a Suicide Squad movie.
I
And
think
the
that's
thing I was,
exactly what it is. I think somebody wanted to make a Suicide Squad movie, and they're
well,
like, well, that's not going to sell.
yeah, and that's exactly what happened, because it's not a Batman movie. Batman is in the background,
Yeah,
and
I guess we should say that if you're going into this expecting a Batman movie, it's not.
Batman doesn't have a character arc. It's not about him. He's there, and he does stuff in the third act,
Well, it's
especially.
kind of like
Uh,
any comic you would read, where they go to Gotham. Like Batman shows up, but it's like he's guest starring in somebody else's book.
Well, and what's kind of neat about it is that it's all from the villains on the Suicide Squad perspective, and you do kind of come to feel a little bit for at least a couple of them. And so like I don't think we switched to Batman too much.
Oh
We do
no,
switch to him a couple times, but for the most part, it really feels like we're with these characters and like they're villains and anti-heroes, and we have to kind of adjust our kind of morality a little bit in in appreciating them, where we have to kind of put ourselves in their heads, and I enjoy that. I guess what I'm saying is I was most one of the things I was most impressed with was by the end of it, I kind of didn't mind that it was a Suicide Squad movie.
well, and I was obviously excited there was a Suicide Squad movie. I don't like that at the end it just becomes about Deadshot and the Joker, because everybody else is dead. Um,
I'm okay with that, because I feel like they did a pretty good job at the beginning of making it Deadshot's movie.
oh no, it's totally Deadshot's movie, and I mean that's kind of the curse of Deadshot. He kind of always steals the show with team books, but I was kind of, and maybe this is just because it's set in the Arkham universe. But I was like, really, this is going to end up being a Joker story? Like, we had three of those games now. Like, why not? Like, why couldn't this have just stayed with Amanda Waller? Like, I almost feel like the actual plot of the movie gets lost at some point and becomes not important because now the Joker's loose.
That's completely fair. Although I think they kind of help make that more okay by the end, when you find out that part of Waller's whole plan was she kind of hoped they'd all get killed.
Yeah.
So she sent them to Arkham expecting something like that to happen. And I was impressed that the Joker got as little screen time as he did. Like, it is Joker's movie, but it's more Deadshot and Harley Quinn's movie.
Oh yeah. Well,
And
and the thing
and
is though,
Joker can just become, well, and also he's not just a peripheral threat, because certainly he's the one that planted the dirty bomb, and that's what Batman's going after and trying to find. So yeah, you're right, he is the main threat and antagonist. But I also kind of think, if you're going to make it a movie where they go to Arkham Asylum and that's what the whole thing's about, like, who else would you want the villain to be, really?
yeah, I guess that's fair.
Pre the Arkham Asylum game, if that's when this is set. I mean, like when, if Harley Quinn is going to be one of your major team characters, and I liked her. I mean, I was okay with that. I mean, if she's going to be one of your main team players, then doesn't it make a lot of sense to do this kind of like twisted and almost perverse love triangle? Which again, I'm surprised, I'm saying, was kind of okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, well, and one of the things I thought really worked, um, that maybe kind of added to being a little disenchanted with the ending was I thought maybe better than any of the Justice League movies. Like I felt like I kind of understood and everybody on the team, except for um, Black Spider, and then later there's a reason he's on the team story wise. There's a reason you
yeah,
don't really get to know him that well.
Yeah,
Um,
because he's Batman much of the time, and there were really funny things, like, I don't know, I thought they did a really good job of making us aware very early that anybody was fair game for getting killed.
Man, this movie had me when KG Beast jumps out of an airplane and has has a parachute with the hammer and sickle. That was great. And then he dies.
Well, and what I thought was really funny was they go through this whole opening sequence with, and it wasn't even the title sequence, showing everybody's names and who they are, and KG Beast is in all that, and they give him, and he gets one of the coolest opening things. They totally did that on purpose. And then he gets killed 2 minutes after you meet him.
Well,
I thought that was hysterical.
Well, it was funny because I was like, I didn't know KG Beast was in this, and then I was like, oh, that's why I didn't know KG Beast.
Because he's really not. So I kind of went through the whole movie thinking, really anybody but Harley Quinn and Deadshot is fair game. I was kind of waiting for Captain Boomerang to get taken out at any moment.
Well, and I was kind of shocked when King Shark bites it, just because, pun not intended, but received.
He was hilarious.
No, he's great.
I thought they milked him for all he was worth, and in a good way.
But they have this really creepy, weird thing where Killer Frost and him are kind of flirtatious and kind of a thing for each other. So when he bites it, it's not just oh man, one of them's dead. There's a little bit of feeling there because Killer Frost and him were kind of flirty.
Yeah, and let me say, of course, that we can't condone anything these people are doing, and of course there
are a lot of guys.
I mean, they are bad guys, but it's one of those things where they do a pretty good job of making you still kind of care about and sort of like some of these people, even though they're bad guys. When Batman comes in, we're not wanting to see them beat Batman.
No, not at all.
It's not like, oh, I sure hope they beat Batman. But it is from their perspective, and you can at least, to what degree you would want to, sympathize with them.
But when Batman shows up, I did want them to get away.
Yeah, me too. And I think my favorite thing, just so that we could see him do more stuff, because it was fun to watch them. I think my favorite thing about the whole movie was the relationship between and the rivalry between Captain Boomerang and Deadshot.
And that stuff's great. I
just fantastic. Love that. Has that ever been a comic book thing?
Oh yeah.
Have we ever had Captain Boomerang in the Suicide Squad?
Yeah, he's a big player from the John Ostrander stuff from the 80s.
I'm not a Suicide Squad guy, so I didn't know that. I was kind of excited when I saw him because I didn't know he was in this. Or I guess I'd forgotten from trailers. I even did a video on that trailer and I forgot he was in this. And I've always liked Captain Boomerang, and I especially liked him after Jeff Johns' Flash run right before 52.
Oh, that stuff was great.
And I was like, oh, cool. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, we've got two guys that throw stuff and are known for their marksmanship. I wonder if they'll do something with it. And they did a wonderful job of playing that up and doing fun things with it. I thought the dart game was kind of funny.
Well, the dart game was great when Boomerang makes it ricochet off the stuff to hit Floyd. That was great. But no,
I really. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
One of my favorite beats was that scene you were talking about where they have to take out the guards, and he takes the guard out, but because it's a Boomerang, it's too late.
I thought that was really cool. Where Deadshot's kind of pointing out his limitations and why he's better, and he's right. And then I also really like that thing that that character moment that Harley Quinn had, where she proved to everyone that she used to be a psychiatrist by telling him that anybody who throws boomerangs has trouble letting go.
Yeah, no, that was great.
Good stuff. I don't know, man. There's some decent writing in this movie.
Yeah. Let's see.
And everybody gets cool character stuff. I like that Killer Frost got Mr. Freeze's gun.
Yeah, that was really cool. I don't know anything about her from the comics, but at least in this, she can only freeze things if she touches it, and so getting Mr. Freeze's gun, she now has the power to shoot freeze on people.
After that, and then like she couldn't carry it, and so there was a little bit of I guess kind of a thing about her limitations there. Like I felt like everybody in this going into Arkham had to kind of face the things that they were good at or not good at, but then kind of show off too.
Well, they all had strengths and weaknesses, which maybe is what makes them feel more fleshed out than we've gotten with the Justice League in these movies. Is that the Justice League doesn't have really limitations. Like, they don't have those kinds of problems, right? Like, it's kryptonite, but otherwise Superman's fine. Superman
Well,
doesn't have to deal with, stuff like that.
I think what 52 has been trying to play up with weaknesses with the Justice League is like character flaws.
Right. Well, and
Like
this has both. There's
and yeah, this has both. Well, and of course, inherently because they're villains, and so the thing that made them kind of go off the beaten path and turn into bad guys is kind of often their greatest strength and their greatest weakness at the same time. One of the things that I kind of wanted more of after that whole freeze gun thing was I kind of wanted to see more of these villains compared to other major Batman villains.
well, I mean, we get the other major villains from Arkham Asylum in here, so
We get them in there, but like maybe I'm projecting and I'm just saying this is what I would have done with it. But for a second, I was like, oh, that's neat. Are we gonna like take each of these villains and kind of show like who
I
they're sort
kind
of
of wanted
parallel
a
for?
King
Like
Shark
that's
Bane
cool.
fight. That was a little bit
So
of a
did
bummer
I.
that we didn't get that.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. And I don't know who everybody else's would be. I mean, you don't really need it for Boomerang because he's already kind of got it with Lawton.
Yeah, they've kind of already got it together.
And then of course Harley Quinn's got that same thing with Joker. So I kind of wanted everybody else to have one. And also that would have given us more of a reason to go to Arkham. Maybe that's why I'm thinking that, because we do get to kind of see a glimpse of a lot of the major Batman villains, and we get a bunch of them not, like name dropped. That was a thing that they kept doing that I felt like they just had to mention every villain they possibly could mention.
I thought some of it was fun, like when they had
So
like
it's fun.
where it was like Firefly, Killer Moth, and Maxie Zeus. He's like, I've never even heard of these people.
Yeah, and then here I am watching these guys going, yeah, they're on about the same level as most of you guys.
Nobody knows who you are, King Shark,
Nobody nobody knows
unless
who you
they
are.
read
I've never
Secret
seen
Six.
King Shark in
Oh,
anything,
he's great in Secret Six.
and I thought he had a lot to do.
Yeah, no, I love that he has a metal jaw, but then puts like toothy dentures inside of the metal jaw.
Yeah, and he had and like I like that they played up that he's kind of got a fear, like a major fear of running into fire.
Yeah,
Like was it now I was a little confused about, was it that he was scared of a barrage of bullets, or what was it?
I'm not. I thought
Because it was like, oh, I have to put the like he's brave enough to run into it as long as he can't see it.
I don't know. I thought maybe it was like a shark thing because like water and I don't know.
I thought that was a neat idea, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was he was afraid of. It seemed like there was like one little line that explained it that maybe I sort of didn't entirely hear and missed. But I did think that was a really cool moment for him and Killer Frost, where like not only do they like each other and they kind of have this weird kind of flirtation, but they also like team up and work well together. I don't know. I was really surprised by a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, me. I thought I was surprised by how well done the characters were in general. I kind of expected to come in and they were just kind of all going to be jerks to each other. Um, just kind of based on, I mean, that's what we've been doing to Justice League, right? Like they're all just kind of jerks to each other. So, um, but I want to talk about this is a film that totally earns and deserves its rating. We've talked a
Yeah.
lot about the other ones. Like, if we just took out, these couple of lines of dialogue, it would be completely kid appropriate. This is not a kid appropriate movie.
Inherently,
Yeah,
because it is the Suicide Squad, and we're not like candy coating that, right? Like it's no, they've got these bombs in their heads and they will explode. As soon as you start with that, it's an adult story.
well, and it also leads to, is this the only film with kind of almost nudity and sexual content? Obviously, not the
We
only
had
film
it.
ever, but
No, we had it with Dark Knight Returns.
oh yeah. But
And
yeah.
there's naturally, because of what these are based on. I mean, there's a little bit there. There's a little bit in year one, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Um, and then no, there's a little bit here and there, but no, this was certainly, I don't know, the most erotic, I think.
well, that's what I was gonna say. Is unlike the Frank Miller ones, this one kind of plays it as kind of sexy.
Yeah, yeah, it did. And I was surprised. I don't know if I'm being too easy on this movie or if I was just in a good mood when I watched it, but like I was even okay with the Deadshot and Harley sleep together thing.
Yeah, no, that was, and I mean, they roll off the bed. It happens off camera. It's not like it's like, how did this end up in this movie? But I mean, that happens in the comics in the New 52.
Yeah, and I didn't know that, but I thought it was cool that they didn't just do that and drop it. Like they go places with
No,
that.
that's almost the crux of the film.
The thing I really, yeah, that was the thing I loved about it was that suddenly like Deadshot's the new boyfriend and Joker isn't happy about that. And then I really kind of dug that moment. She got lucky that she didn't have to make the choice, but I enjoyed that moment in the third act where Harley Quinn is aiming the gun at Deadshot and Joker both, and she can't decide which one to shoot.
Well, and this is one of the few times I've seen the Joker where he's portrayed as kind of sexual. Like, this
Yeah,
Joker is attracted to Harley Quinn and sleeps with her.
I was surprised by that because I'm sure there are other places where that happens, but most of the things I've read, you can't tell if Joker and Harley actually like, or if Joker actually is really if that's a sexual relationship at all. Now, I will say that with the Arkham games, it seems a lot more likely. So maybe that's a place where that characterization is really playing in.
Maybe so. But yeah, well, usually Joker's played largely asexual just in general.
Yeah,
And
but you'll get hints at things here and there.
yeah, well, and specifically with Harley, the only thing we ever really know is that he beats her. Um,
Yeah.
I think there's some implications in what's the flashback episode slash comic of the animated series.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Mad Love?
Yeah,
Mad
Mad
Love.
Love. I want to say there's a reference to like riding your Harley.
There is, yeah, and that's a thing that comes up in a couple places because I think Paul Dini just loves that line.
well, Paul Dini is a dirty old man. Um,
It was Paul Dini who wrote that. I'm almost
no,
positive.
it is. He wrote the comic and the episode. But yeah, so but I wasn't put off by, but I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Like usually the Joker's non-sexual, and this is Troy Baker who did the Joker in Arkham
In Origins.
Origins.
Yep,
And I thought he
that's
did a
right.
good job.
Yeah, he does. I mean, naturally he's pretty much just doing a Mark Hamill. I think in Origins he did a pretty good job of making it his own still, where like it does sound like Hamill, but he's putting his own spin on it so that it doesn't sound like just he's trying to make you think it's Hamill. Here, it did sound a little bit more like he's just doing a Hamill, but I don't know that he got enough lines that I could really tell the difference.
I
If
thought
that makes any
I
sense at
definitely
all.
thought he was doing a Hamill, but at the same time, it was close enough that it didn't bother me, and it was far away enough it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Where like
No,
sometimes
no,
you see people
I
try to
hope
do it and it's
I
bad.
want him to just be the new Joker. Like I like it. I think it sounds good. It's homaging what we had before, but it's going in its own direction.
Yeah,
So,
I like him. This is because I haven't played Origins. This is my first exposure to him as the Joker, and I like
oh,
him.
yeah.
I like the whole voice cast. I don't think there was anybody I really didn't care for.
No, and that's a thing we've had lately.
Yep. We've had a bunch of voice casting
Well,
lately.
actually, okay, I have one. It's not. It's a minor thing. It's not even a big deal. Again, I'm a big fan of the Arkham games. I missed Wally Wingert as the Riddler.
Oh, is this not the?
No.
I thought his voice sounded kind of off from the Riddler
And
trilogies, but
he is the one person that I thought was actually characterized quite a bit different from what he was in the games. And I didn't like him. And I love the Riddler. And I thought he was a little bit simplified and like just not as intelligent as I'm used to seeing the Riddler.
I had
I
a
mean,
problem with the beginning of the movie that we haven't talked about yet.
yeah, sure. Go ahead.
There's two things. The first one is I hate how the Joker gets caught. That was ridiculously dumbed down.
What
Um,
do you mean?
where he's talking to Amanda Waller, and she's like, "I'm just trying to find your position." Like he wouldn't know that. Like he wouldn't have figured that out. Like I thought
Oh, that's a good point.
I thought that opened with like making the Joker seem much dumber than he should be. And I didn't like the action scene. I thought that action scene went on too long for Batman just fighting goons. And like he even gets like an extended fight scene with that one guy with the knife, and I was like, well, like in the Arkham games, like you just kind of like drop down and take people out. So why don't you just do that for this scene? Like, it would go quicker.
That's a good point.
But then I wonder if maybe Batman doesn't really have another big action scene for the rest of the movie, so they wanted to put it there. I don't know. But I wasn't crazy about the opening. It kind of put me on going into it, I was like, oh, maybe this movie's not going to be that good. And then, KG Beast jumped out of a plane with his hammer and sickle parachute, and I was in comfortable hands again.
Yeah, that's weird. I'm with you. I mean, the first few minutes, it certainly didn't seem like we were getting as well plotted and as good of a script as we ultimately ended up getting for the rest of it. I didn't like the Riddler stuff.
He
He's
felt kind
telling
of dumb.
these riddles, and the Riddler in that universe is very several steps ahead, and they've got things like he just tells some really easy, kind of old, not inspired riddle, and Waller answers it, and he goes, "Oh, you've heard that one before." And I'm like, "I don't know, man. I don't know about that." Yeah, I'm with you. I felt like he was a little dumber than. And here's the thing: the Riddler in those games, it seems super threatening as long as he's in control. As soon as he's not in control, because this is a big thing they do with him. I think in both games, where I forget what they do with him in Origins. When he gets caught, or if he gets caught, I forget. But with Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, it's like as long as he's in control and nobody knows where he is, he's terrified. As soon as he gets caught, he does start to kind of look like that a little bit, where now he's more of a joke. And maybe the deal here is he's pretty well caught all the way through, but at the beginning, he didn't think he was caught.
Yeah, well, and even in Arkham, I feel like he feels like he has some bit of control for most of the when he's on the screen.
Yeah.
Like like
So
like like even when Killer Frost comes to kill him, he seems pretty calm. He just doesn't seem to be as smart as I would think the Riddler would be. So,
yeah, that's all I'm saying. I was a little disappointed by that, especially because A, Riddler's one of my favorite villains, and B, he is one of the only other Batman villains that got any screen time.
yeah.
And they gave him stuff to do, but I didn't care. That is probably my biggest qualm, as far as just with personal taste things. Here's things I love that I didn't care for how they did it. I have a couple plot questions. One of them is, don't all of the Suicide Squad have trackers in them?
I think the tracker and the bomb are the same.
Okay, why is it that there are points that throughout the film the movie can't decide when Waller knows where they are and when she doesn't? There
Um,
are a bunch of places where she knows where everybody is, and then other places where the story seems to need her to not know where they are, so conveniently she doesn't know where they are.
I don't know. The only time I distinctly remember is when she's looking at the video feed and it's the wrong feed. She was like, "I know you're in the yard, but that's not what I'm seeing." Uh,
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but there were several places where I was like, "Don't you know where they're like?" There's a place where she's like, "Where is this person?" I forget it was Frost or who it was,
oh
but she's like,
yeah,
"This person," and then Deadshot's like, "Oh, no, she's right here with us." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, Waller is saying, I know you're here because of your trackers. Why can't she tell where the other person is with her tracker?" There's a few of those.
yeah. I don't know.
I felt like the movie wasn't really playing fair with that. It decided to cut Waller off whenever it conveniently needed her cut off so that she
Well,
couldn't kill.
well, parts of Arkham are lead lined and other parts aren't.
Maybe that was the idea. I don't. I mean, I know you're probably joking, but maybe the idea was there's places where she just can't tell where they are. But I didn't feel like it made it clear enough. Maybe on a second viewing, I would feel differently. The second thing is I couldn't figure out how Batman knew as soon as there was a mallet that's where the bomb was.
There's a couple of things with Batman in this movie where I was like when he jumps into Harley Quinn in that toy store, I was like, how did you know this? How are you here? She jumped in like 3 seconds ago.
We're told he rips the whole city apart trying to find that bomb. And then as soon as there's a mallet, he goes, "Oh, the bomb is in the mallet." I'm like, "How do you know that?" Like you're just assuming that because now there's a mallet. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't understand most anything Batman does in this movie, but I feel like that's kind of the point, is that we're looking from the outs, we're looking from the outside, and so it just looks like Batman knows everything.
Well, I am going to criticize consistency slightly just because, and I know movies like to play fast and loose with this sometimes, where, like, if this was a short story or a novel, I would expect to never be in his head and always be with somebody else. But if that's the case, and I'm with you, most of the time I feel like that's what it's trying to do, but, like, if you want me to see Batman as totally in the background and he can just show up and suddenly know stuff because I didn't get to see how he knew that, then don't give me the scene with him in the Batmobile talking to Alfred.
That's fair. Does
You know,
Alfred not
don't
have a mustache in the Arkham universe?
I don't think he
Because
does.
he does not in this.
I don't remember. We don't see a lot of Alfred. Alfred's usually just a voice.
Oh man, there was a point. I knew. So he calls the bat plane, and I knew it was to go after the helicopter. But there was something in me that was like, just drop him something, and leave.
That's awesome. I did think it was cool, and again, this is a point of view thing, and I guess I should complain about this if I want us to not be with Batman much. But there was a moment where they gave us detective vision.
Yeah, there is, and there's also when they come to, uh, I want to say the first time or the second time they come to, it's like first person from Deadshot. It's intentionally I thought it was intentionally shot to look kind of like the video game where it's from first person.
Yeah, there is. I thought it was pretty funny when we got detective vision. I forget what exactly the wording was, but the detective vision was like, "She's telling the truth."
Yeah. Uh, it's in that toy store where
Yeah,
Harley Quinn says, I don't know where the bomb is.
I thought that was pretty
Oh,
funny.
I was just looking up stuff about this movie. I guess I should mention
Yeah.
the guy who voices Deadshot is Dum Dum Dugan in Captain America.
Oh, and John DiMaggio is King Shark, who has played the Joker before.
Yeah,
Because we got him in Red Hood, so that's kind of fun.
he's popped up in these movies quite
A
a
lot.
bit. Yeah. Oh,
As
he's
lots of different people, because he has one of the best abilities of voice modulation I think of anybody in the business.
oh yeah, no, he's great. He's also Green Arrow in the DC Showcase Green Arrow,
Is he really?
and he played Firebrand in the '90s Iron Man show. And he's Lieutenant Hawk in Star Trek First Contact.
Oh, okay. So I know exactly what that guy looks like. Then he's the guy who takes over for Worf for tactical
Oh,
when
okay.
Worf's on DS9, and then of course Worf comes back and just obligatorily takes his position back for no reason.
But so yeah, he's been involved in quite a few geeky slash comic booky projects.
Okay, so I gotta figure out if Mick Wingard is related to Wally Wingard.
Nick Wingard.
Yeah, there's this guy named Mick Wingard. Hang on, I'm trying to get back to it. Who plays just some random security guy in this. But the reason I looked at that was because I was I was kind of annoyed that they didn't get Wally Wingert to play the Riddler, and then suddenly there's this other voice actor who apparently does a lot of voice work and is a Jack Black sound-alike. And I'm like, well, Wally Wingert does a lot of sound-alike stuff. That would be really strange if they weren't related.
The Wingard
Anyway, I'll look
brothers.
that up later.
Oh,
What else should we mention?
well, I also have a slight plot hole thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
In what way does parachuting into the city help?
I don't know. It seems like people would notice that.
Yeah, more so than like if you just like drove up in like a nondescript van and then went into the sewer.
Well, actually, can I say more? I thought of that too, and I'm glad you brought it up because less parachuting and more dropping them in steel boxes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I just feel like somebody would notice that. And like the only reason that happens is so that Amanda Waller. By the way, I think it's funny that she calls herself the Wall.
Yeah.
But that Amanda Waller wants to make a point about how they're expendable and she could do anything to them at any moment. And I'm just like, okay, this is supposed to be a covert operation. Like the whole point is that they're going in undercover.
Those metal chunks are gonna land somewhere.
Somewhere. I couldn't believe that. I was like, where do you think you're dropping them? A deserted island? That was hilarious. No, I'm glad you brought that up. And like they drop and then the parachutes barely work because they're so close to the ground anyway. A lot of them hit super hard. Nobody notices that?
Harley Quinn lands on her head.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's like, I landed on my head. Oh, she goes. It's okay. Nobody worry. I landed on my head. I will say that like I said, I liked a lot of the humor. Some of it fell flat a little bit. Yahtzee got old.
Yeah.
Four
Well,
times, I don't know. Like the first two times, I liked it. The first time she said it, and that was in the trailer. But the first time she said it, I was like, that's pretty clever. When she said it, when she and Deadshot were sleeping together, I thought that was
yeah,
hilarious. I
that was
really
funny.
that.
It was weird when Joker said it.
But then later Joker says it and she says it at some point in a different kind of way. And I don't know, it got old. After a while, it was just kind of like, why is that the catchphphrase?
Yeah,
I thought stay subtle with it and give us a nice payoff in that sex scene and then leave it at that. Like,
or I mean, the best way I think to pay it off would have been to use it in the sex scene, and then later, like, Deadshot has to like shoot her or something, and he's like Yahtzee.
yeah, I have to say I'm impressed that there wasn't a lot of more stuff like that where they just kind of kept repeating themselves. Most of it was pretty clever. It's just, that got old.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, on the whole, I thought it was a really fun movie. It's the
Yeah,
first one in the wild I'm gonna buy.
I'm pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I wish they'd give us more Arkham stuff because this made me think, oh, you could do all kinds of other
Well,
things
and
in
you
this
really
universe.
like the Arkham Unleashed comics, right?
Yep.
So, I mean,
No, it's really fun to get all this extra, kind of supplemental stuff.
I
Uh,
wonder if maybe there's a potential for just a full-blown Arkham animated series.
oh boy, don't say that. That would make me so excited. That's a great idea. Well, really just keep fleshing that universe out because what's really cool is how distinct it is. Like it really feels like the Arkham. I'll just say this real quick. The Arkham games have always seemed to me like the PG-13 Batman animated series, where it's like we took that series and we kept going with it, but we kind of ramped it
We
up.
made it a little bit more sexual. It's a little bit more vulgar. Uh,
Yeah, it's got some language. It's like it's like the kids that grew up with Batman the animated series got something, more mature.
yeah,
And I don't think I mean those games aren't appropriate for really little kids, but I don't think that it necessarily goes too far in that direction because a lot of the time the themes fit and it feels like an adult thing, and I can see why these really really violent horrible people are talking the way they talk. So I can totally see it. I'm okay with it, and it's it's kind of cool that they sort of, especially with keeping some of the voices the same with Kevin Conroy and stuff, that it kind of feels like we got Batman the animated series more mature. But then we've also like changed up a lot of the characters and made them the same but different. We've got an Australian Penguin now and stuff like that.
he had an
And so
actual monocle in this, not just a piece of glass in his face.
and so I feel like this universe is so distinct and has so much its own flavor and this really kind of unnerving kind of feel to it that I want to see it keep going and keep getting fleshed out, and I like that we have as many games in it as we do, and then we got some pretty decent comics, and now this movie. I'm with you, man. Yeah, keep going with it. Do more stuff in it. There's not a lot of other separate Batman things that aren't comics or movies that I feel like deserve to keep going and expand in their own universe.
Yeah, well, and I think that's kind of rare just in general. I mean, outside of the DC animated universe, I can't think of anything where it's been like an adaptation that went on to become a universe of its own in the way that this did.
Yeah, I mean, again, with the exception of the movies.
Yeah, yeah, obviously, yeah. Well, even then, I mean, it's not like there's Dark Knight comics, and well, I guess there was a Batman Begins video game, but it's not like there's a lot
Oh,
expanding
good
that
call. Yeah,
universe. It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
those
And
movies.
we have all this merchandising. We do all these things in these different mediums. I mean, like the Arkham games seem like they've been almost as merchandised as hard as live action movies are.
Oh, I think even more so because I think
So much.
I think there's because there's so many characters in them. It's not like the movies where like it's well, there's Batman and there's the Joker and there's Two Face in the Dark Knight, so we can make cool figures of those. Otherwise, we got nothing. Whereas here, there's so many characters in every game. I mean, just from being built as a game, you can release a whole line of toys that's just Arkham Asylum.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, isn't it kind of my big surprise with this movie is that it both feels very much like this universe and also feels like the same story could be told outside of this universe.
Well, I think the story could be told anywhere, but I think tonally it fits. Like it's tonally, and then the designs all feel very Arkham, even the characters that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah. Well, Eric, yay for finally getting a good one.
Yeah. What's next?
Next is I think Atlantis War thing.
Oh.
What is that called? Throne of Atlantis.
Throne of Atlantis. Hopefully that's good.
So going back to 52. But that means that that we're going to continue with that 52 voice cast that we haven't been super impressed with.
But it also means that we're getting a movie that maybe could possibly be an Aquaman movie. So
no, it will be an Aquaman movie because that's based on the 52 line of comics that not line. It's based on a Justice League arc that is Aquaman centered and plays a lot with things that were in the Aquaman comic. In fact, I think what it did was it went between Justice League and Aquaman. I think it bounced back and forth between them.
Yeah, it did, and that's why I haven't gotten that volume of Aquaman yet, because I don't know if I have to read the Justice League stuff.
I think you do. I think it's like part 1 this year, part 2 this year.
And why would you release it in 2 trades?
So I will do my best to try to read those before.
Yeah, I'll probably try and read that too.
Because I meant to read it while it was happening, and I just didn't get to it.
After that is Batman versus Robin.
Oh. Is that going to be a sequel to the Damian thing we just did?
I don't know, because it says the Court of Owls is going to be in it, but it's not an adaptation of Court of Owls. So no idea what that is.
Well, you got to wonder if that's going to be 52 or not, because I thought what they were doing was they were going back and forth doing like a 52 thing and then a different thing.
Well, it says it's in the shared universe of Justice League War, so...
Oh, it is? Okay. Right.
And then Justice League Gods and Monsters, which is an original story that's going to be written by Alan Burnett, so hopefully that's good.
Cool. Well, I gotta say, I'm a little surprised that these are still going.
I was thinking about this
as many a year as they're doing,
because they launched Marvel launched around the same time as this, and the Marvel ones were mostly much worse, and they died off.
Yep.
What was the last one we got? Like Planet Hulk.
We're still consistently getting as many of these a year as we were like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, well, it's like 3 a year, right?
It's at least 2. Maybe it is 3 a year.
I think it's a year.
It does seem like we come back and have to review one of these every 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I think it's 3 a year. I'm not positive, but I think so. I am not an expert.
I want to say thanks to everybody for listening. Like I said, I'm pleasantly surprised. This was a good time.
Yeah, no, I'm glad, because I was looking forward to this movie just as a fan of the Suicide Squad and these kinds of stories.
Yeah, and I was looking forward to it as a fan of Arkham, and I'm glad that we each kind of got a little bit of what we wanted.
This is the third one this year. We had Justice League War and Son of Batman this year, so...
Okay.
Yep.
I guess it is 3 a year. My goodness. All right, well, folks, thanks again for listening. We sure appreciate it. I am Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
And we'll see you again very shortly.